And I'm not surprised that you got the traction and the attention that you did. Like we were nodding along because we're like, yeah, we know those guys too.
Welcome back to Muse on the Mic. I'm Riley.
And I'm Emily. Thanks again, guys, for joining us on another great episode and an interesting one of Muse on the Mic. Make sure you like the video right now. Go click it, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, the big red button, and then head over to Patreon and click subscribe because you cannot miss a single Muse on the Mic episode. Mondays on YouTube, Wednesdays on Patreon, and Sunday nights on Patreon for a little XXX humor for you guys. Riley, tell everyone what we're getting into today.
We are going to jump into yet another interview. This is with Ali Imperiale. She's a sex educator in training, a sex work consumer, and overall, I think a really fun chick. So I cannot wait to chat with her.
I'm so excited. It was a random connect the dots that we made when we found one of her videos on YouTube about a Nuru massage, a couple's Nuru massage, where she was the client. And I was like, Riley, we need to talk to this girl. And of course, I blew up her email immediately and bing, bam, boom, here she is on the show. I can't wait for this chat. Let's go.
Ali, welcome to Muse on the Mic. Thank you for joining us today. We have so many questions for you.
Thank you so much for having me. I was so excited to hear from you guys and, just also to know a little bit about what you guys do in the industry. And I'm so happy to share my experiences as a client as well, because they've always been so positive. And I'm interested to share my perspectives as a client in a couple.
That's what we find most fascinating is not only are you a sex educator, but you're also a consumer, and who better to speak to, because we don't often get to bring clients onto the show. Not that you're a client of Muse, but you are a consumer of sex work. So I really want to dive into those experiences with you as well.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited.
Absolutely. Before we get into all that stuff, I really want you to tell everyone kind of your background, what you're about, what you offer. And at the end, we'll plug your channel and tell everyone where to find you. We'll link all that in the description below so everyone can give you a follow. Guys, you know what to do. Give her a follow on all platforms. But tell us how you kind of started off with your curiosity to lead you into wanting to become a sex educator in the first place.
So just like anybody else, I had a kind of a transition phase during COVID. Prior to that, I was a trampoline studio fitness owner with my best friend in Montreal. And I also had a professional background for many years working as a therapist for children with autism. But then COVID happened. And even though I loved my jobs, I was starting to burn out and I was feeling like I needed a little bit of a change. And during that time as well, I was recently single. I had gotten out of a second long-term relationship and I was having a lot of fun. I didn't want a boyfriend. I had so much fun dating. I love dating. I always had really great experiences, met a lot of really great people. And I didn't really want one boyfriend. I wanted a couple boyfriends, maybe not necessarily from where I was from, but, some spread out, like hoes in different area codes, like they say. And we're together. And when we're separate, we do our own thing. And then I decided to take a little trip during COVID to the north of Quebec just to get some action time. And I booked a night at this inn and I ended up meeting my current partner. This was 5 years ago. We're still together. He had just bought the hotel. And we kind of had a drunken one night stand that, is still ongoing. And when we met, I told him, I'm not really looking for a boyfriend. I'm looking for someone that, I could have some fun with, connect emotionally as well, but not necessarily be totally monogamous. And I also wanted to explore sexually with other women together. And he was just coming out of an open relationship, kind of like a don't ask, don't tell situation for a couple of years. And it ended for them, not on bad terms or anything. They just kind of grew apart. And he didn't really like that. He was kind of looking for someone that he could have fun with. Obviously, he met me and he's like, oh, wow, there's this girl who's like wants to have fun with other women. And, is not necessarily looking for anything too serious. But, as time went on, we sort of fell in love. And but I was still, wanting to explore with other women. I just didn't know how I would feel like once we started doing those things, because I knew I wanted to try it. So I started doing a lot of research and, reading a lot of books and going on YouTube and just kind of learning about other people's experiences to sort of help me navigate the unknown. So yeah, I started seeing a therapist even for prevention who had experience with, like ethical non-monogamy and so on. And I kind of started like exploring sexually more with him. Actually, for his first birthday that we were together, I did hire a sex worker so he could enjoy like his first threesome. Yes, it was during COVID. So not that easy to like go out in a bar and find someone.
What a good girlfriend.
Sorry?
What a good girlfriend.
Yeah. I'd say I'm a pretty good girlfriend, but he's really nice to me too. He's very nice. He deserves like everything, and yeah.
Aw, I love that.
Yeah, and then like as time went on, we were having a lot of fun sexually. We were traveling and like some, meeting some people online and like having good experiences. And I really continue to enjoy like reading about sex, reading about relationships, like people's like behavioral psychology, all that kind of stuff. And at some point, my boyfriend, he's an entrepreneur as well, and he's always been wanting to enter the digital space. And I was thinking about doing something creative too, like, oh, maybe I'll start like a cooking channel where I'll talk about sex, like when you're chilling with your girlfriends making food and you're just like talking about your dates and sex, like just super chill. And so he's like, yeah, you should do that. And I was like, I don't know about being online. And anyways, he pushed me towards it, and he pressed record one day and he's like, just do it. So I did. I tried cooking and talking about sex. Super hard, by the way, doing those two things at the same time. Like not fun. You're trying to explain someone how to make like sauce, and then you're like, all right, now you're gonna like strain the tomatoes, and then the girl walked in the room and you wouldn't believe it. She's first, you're gonna like cut your basil. Like it was just not working. So I decided to just sit on my couch and record myself just telling a story, something that was super familiar to me, a fun story about my first threesome experience as a third, because it was really nice and it was really fun. And I appreciated when I would watch, videos of people sharing their stories, because it really helped me like navigate jealousy and stuff like that. So I was like, I would do the same. Not really knowing what kind of audience I was going to get. I thought I would be attracting more women because I'm a woman, and I just assumed like other women would be interested in that, but no. I guess I was a little naive because I accidentally went viral. So I got like flooded with men, and obviously men on YouTube are the ones who like look up threesomes the most. And so it was a little bit of a shock because I wasn't sure how I felt about all the attention I was getting. There was different kinds of attention too. There was like, I always like place my audience in three categories. There's, the really incel typey ones who are like, just ripping me apart. And then, you have the religious ones who are telling me, I'm going to hell and I'm sinning, all that kind of stuff. And then I have, I call them the kind, genuine, like curious, open people who are just like looking to learn, connect, and just like appreciate, what I have to share. And so that was about 2 years ago now since I've started. And then I was very up and down with how I felt about it and where I felt like I felt in this space, with like sharing about my sexual stories, like being a woman and sharing about this stuff online, my experiences and so on. But then I don't know, something, there was actually a moment, I posted a video last year, where I had, because my partner and I would travel to Asia a lot. So, well, I wouldn't say we're very familiar, but we're just starting to get familiar with the whole like happy ending thing, you know? And I personally was never really into happy endings like for myself, but like him, whatever, I don't care. Like he could get one. It was nice for me to like be a part of the process and stuff like that, but I was never particularly into getting one myself. And we had one experience where it was like this really like sketchy place. Like it was like red flags everywhere. I should have just left, but I stayed because I was like, you know, it's part of the experience. I don't know. I'll just shut up and like go through it. Yeah. And so this woman, I told her I wanted a regular massage, but she kept like pushing me to try and get a happy ending. She was like rubbing me and stuff. And it was so uncomfortable. And I was like, this is so weird. And it just kind of jaded me a bit. Anyways, I shared that story on YouTube and I got shredded. Like all these men were shitting all over me saying like, you asked for it. Like you're the reason why girls get raped and stuff because I didn't say no, you know, and I didn't speak up for myself. Like just awful things. And I was really taken aback and just like kind of disgusted. Anyways, as time went on.
But hats off to you for taking control of like your sex life and being that forward to be like, this is the experiences I want. And going on that journey with your partner. It sounds really exciting.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it is, you know, and it's also like murky, I guess, kind of navigating the like there's the sex work world and there's also like the sex tourism world, which is like a little bit different, you know, especially, you know, when you're traveling to countries where it's like way more exploited and stuff like that and a little bit less understood. So I'm still learning myself, you know, because I know like I do get judgments from people who are like, how could you do that? But I'm like there's some things that are not understood well. There's some things that are culturally not understood. Like sex is so different here in North America versus other parts of the world. And there's so many nuances. And so I'm still learning, you know, and kind of figuring out what is, I guess, ethical for me. And, you know, so when it comes to sex work, like we are consumers of sex work in some ways, like especially for couples. Like, oh my God, I get so many questions on my YouTube about like, you know, we want a third, how can we go about it? I'm like, well, you know, you can find someone online, but oftentimes I'm like, try and hire a professional, you know. You can find someone. I still have trouble also kind of, and this is maybe where somewhere you ladies can help, is like how to go about that more ethically, you know, to find someone that's because although I have some experience, I'm not like super experienced. And, but we've always had good adventures, you know? So, yeah, but anyways, so time went on and, I ended up getting, a yoni massage a couple months later from, somewhere in Asia where the girl made me feel like really comfortable and she was really nice and it just felt like the right time. And it was actually so amazing. And I was like, wow, like no man had even ever touched me like that before. And so then I kind of changed my strategy online a little bit. And it was kind of a little FU to the men that chat on me too, because I have a Patreon and I told this story about the yoni massage on my YouTube, but I was like, if you want more of the details, you know, like check out my Patreon. Because I think they were also a little pissed that story wasn't a little juicier. You know, they were expecting something like super hot and they didn't get that. So I was like, you know what? It's kind of an FU. Like, if you want to hear the story, like pay for it.
Yeah,
pay me. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I just started, you know, coming into it a little bit more, coming into the whole sex thing a little bit more intentionally. And I was like, you know what? I'm interested in this. I want to pursue my education. I want to come off as a little bit more credible. So I'm going to start studying it and kind of like see where it goes from there. So I started school last year and I'm still in it and I'm still learning. And I try to take the perspective online as like, not so much like, this is what you should do, or these are tips that you should do, but more like, this is what I've tried. Some of it worked, some of it didn't work. Like, what do you think? You know, and kind of I don't feel comfortable yet deeming myself as an expert, but yeah, so that's how I kind of came into the sex ed world a little bit.
That's such a fascinating journey. I love the like connect the dots to get you 6 degrees of COVID separation to end
Yeah.
up where you landed. That's really fascinating. I hope you're loving school and just like being a little sponge and soaking it all in. From my experience, I've been in the sex biz for 25 years and I still learn shit. And as soon as I think I've seen it all, if I ever dare mutter those words, it's like the doorbell rings or like there's a knock on something or an email comes in and I'm like, oh God, you want her to what? And you're in a whole new world, a whole new realm. And I'm, Googling what the hell that even means because it's the first
Right.
I've even heard of it. So I love that about sex, though. It's never ending. And there's so much creativity behind it. And it's weird. A lot of it is weird. And I think that's what makes it super interesting. And I'm not surprised that you got the traction and the attention that you did. Like we were nodding along because we're like, yeah, we know those guys too. Not
Yeah.
only on our podcast comment section, but all our lives.
All your
It's
lives,
always
yeah.
great getting a religious email. And I'm like, come on now.
Oh man.
Never dull. Never dull. That's fascinating. Um, I'm very curious about like the Nuru massage. That was the first video I
Mm.
found of yours actually, and how I kind of came across. We started chatting in the comments, and then we just scoured your page and watched a bunch of your content. So you got a boost of views for us. But the Nuru one was really fascinating because Montreal is notorious for its Nuru. Other than Asia, I think it is the mecca of Nuru massage. And a
Really?
lot of the parlors there are built specifically, like facility wise, are built specifically to accommodate Nuru, the cleanliness, the shower drains, the tiling, like all of those things that are not cheap to build, but are very like specific. Whereas in Toronto and other parts of Canada, you can find little tidbits of Nuru offering, but it's more, we call it body slides. We don't use the jelly, but we do the
Right.
same actions. It's the body to body, the slipping, the sliding, the head to toe, full body contact, right down to the happy endings. And although I've played with Nuru gel before, I've never actually had a Nuru session, nor have I given one. Although I give a mean body slide. So I'm still like super curious. And if I ever had the balls, I'd have to go somewhere anonymous because way too many people know us because of the world we're in, right? And so I would never want to see on like, we have massage review boards and all kinds of things. I would never want to be like, Emily and Riley from Toronto walked in and they tried to hire all these girls because they would assume we're poaching staff, right? They wouldn't assume
It's
we're there as
market
actual
research.
customers. Right. So like I'm team tourism in terms of my sexcapades. I'd rather not sexcapade in Toronto. Too many people know who we are. But I would love to get one and I'd love to take a course to actually learn properly on the
Right.
full blow up mattress, all the moves. But one thing I've never known, I've known girls that offer it. I've never been able to talk to a customer that actually did it, let alone a couple, let alone a female. So like we want all the tea on the Nuru session for sure. And then I'm going to ask you questions about your other happy ending experiences because I'm just captivated. I'm like, tell me more.
Oh my God. Can I just say first, it is so refreshing to have this conversation with women.
Yay. I
Right.
love that.
Like, I can't even tell you, I mean, some of like, I share some stuff with like my girlfriends and everything because sometimes they're curious, but only if they ask. And I can always tell if someone's like, a little bit uncomfortable and yeah.
Right.
So it's really, really, really nice for me. So I really appreciate you ladies, like reaching out and chatting with me because it makes me feel like not so weird,
You're totally not weird. Yet we're all weird. I love it.
Okay, so we've had like our fair share of like happy ending massages and we love them. I mean, I'm sure my boyfriend like loves
Yay.
them a lot more than me because he often like, is able to finish and stuff. But okay, anyways, I'll start with the newer massage. By the way, I didn't even know Montreal was like the mecca for that. Another mecca.
It is.
I had no
It
idea.
is. It's notorious. It's interesting. Toronto is known for its massage parlors, like just
Okay.
the regular happy ending kinds. Edmonton is known for its brothels. Vancouver's a little hit and miss, but still has a good industry, good healthy industry. And Montreal's notorious for its Nuru and its strip clubs.
Yes.
Strip clubs, I knew, but cool. Good information.
It's neat, right?
So yeah, so we got it done a couple weeks ago. Again, we travel a lot. So whenever we're like in an urban city, I try my best to like look for some like fun erotic activities as a couple to do just to take advantage, because we always also travel a lot to like remote places. So while we were in Montreal, I mean, there's just like there's a lot of like erotic activities that couples can try, and like Nuru massage was one of them. So, I still feel awkward when I call like massage parlors to ask for information and how it works because I always feel like rude or pervert, you know, if I'm like, oh, is it like, does it include a happy ending? Like, I still feel weird asking those kinds of questions. Luckily on the other side of the phone, they're so used to it. So yeah, but, when I called, I asked her, you know, if they do couples and so on, and she gave me a little bit of information. And I asked, like, well, you know, do they do the happy ending? And it's funny because she was like, yes, we massage. Well, she said we massage all the skin. And I was like, okay, does that mean like you come at the end? You know, she's like, we massage everything, you know? And I was like, well, do you offer extras? Because we've been in a place before where, you know, you can pay for extras and stuff like that. And I don't want to put myself in a situation again where it's like, you know, you touch the girl and then she stops and she's like, oh, like that's an extra $50, or, you know, it kind of breaks the mood and stuff. So I want to know exactly what I'm getting myself into. So she made it very clear on the phone, like, no, we don't do any extras. There's no like sex. There's no penetration, nothing. We massage all the skin. And like, I can't remember how she said it exactly, but yes, like we finish you off kind of the man and the woman. And so I was like, okay, great, perfect. And I was actually very impressed with the cost as well. I thought it was quite a good price. I think it was, if I remember, I think it was $350 for 2 girls, which in my experience is like really, like, that's not a lot. I was quite
that's quite affordable.
Yeah. And for an hour. And so that's it. So we made our appointment, and Nuru Massage in Montreal, it's like everyone knows it, but you don't really know anyone who's ever been. It's like right in downtown. Like you walk by it all the time. Like the signs there. So yeah. And we get there, and I was super impressed with the reception, the lobby. Like it didn't feel like sketchy, you know, it was very like welcoming and professional, and like the receptionist was super nice. And I remember there was another couple that was there too. They sat down, they looked at us, you know, like you're in a waiting room in any other normal place. And they're like, oh, is it your first time? And we're like, yeah. They're like, oh, we've been here before. It's our second time. It's so great. They're so classy here. Like, it's really nice. And they just had so many great things to say about it. And we're like, great. So then we went into the room, and like you said, because I remember my boyfriend made a comment too about like the tiled walls, like it's tile from like head to toe, you know, like really set up for optimal cleaning. You know? Yeah. And yeah, so you have the shower, you have the sink, all that stuff, and the bed. And the 2 women come in, and they're, you know, wearing their lingerie and stuff, and they introduce themselves, explain to us how it worked, to, you know, take a shower, get naked, get on the table. That's like standard procedure. And they left so we can get ready. And we get on the table, stomach down first, and they come in, and, you know, they take off their clothes, and they started using oil. So, you know, they just started massaging us. And I was actually quite impressed with the massage itself, because we've had a few like erotic massages, and sometimes, because again, for me, I'm not necessarily there like for the happy ending myself. Like I love getting massaged. So I really like a little bit of a therapeutic massage, and not just necessarily like a body rub. I don't know how else to say. You know? Yeah,
no, that's perfect.
So it was really nice. And there you could touch the girls, but not in between, like obviously not their genitals or like in between their legs, but you can touch them anywhere. And that was pretty much like the first part, just like normal. Once we turned over, then they brought in the Nuru gel, and I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, because I imagine Nuru gel to feel kind of like I don't know, sticky and like just not the kind of texture you'd want on your body. I remember when my partner and I first dated, we went to a sex shop, and the girl who was working there like encouraged us to buy a Nuru massage gel kit, which we never used, just kind of collected dust and eventually exploded in a box of mine, and it was just like a hot mess.
Oh no.
Plus you need sheets and stuff. It's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then when she poured it on me, I was like, oh wow, because they heat it up. I didn't know that either. It was like heated. And it felt so good on my body. And then they just like rub it all over you. And again, I didn't know what to expect. It was a regular massage table, but it was double. It was for two people, right? So because we were like, I'm tall, my partner's tall, there's not that much room to like rub around. I don't know how it is in other newer places, if like they do it on the floor, or if there's more like slip and slide. Like you probably know more of this than I, but this was our situation. So they slide it on top of us, you know, and they rub their bodies, and it is very slippery, and it felt really nice. And the girl that I had was great. You know, she was touching me, and like, again, I'm always impressed the way they touch me, because I'm like, you know, like my boyfriend needs to learn this. Like he's just
right.
You know? It's like, yeah, when I lie on my stomach, especially, like, because that's kind of where they start, like with my legs open behind, and I'm not used to being touched like that. And I don't know why I've never done that before with any other partner. And like, I always have them touch me when I'm on my back, you know?
Like the build up, the foreplay. I like it.
Yeah. It feels so good. And just like the massaging of the lips and stuff. Anyways, now I'm getting like into too many details here. And you know, it's like very standard, or the time goes by and so on. And I could tell that, you know, my partner's getting excited, and she like the one who's massaging him is going to start, you know, going on down there and start giving him his happy ending. And I always get so overwhelmed in those situations, because I never like, I want to watch him enjoy himself, but then it takes away from my pleasure, because I'm not focusing on me. And there's always
69
like
conundrum.
yeah, exactly. I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I'm like I have so much stuff going on in my head. I'm like looking at him. I'm like, oh yeah, he looks so good with her. Oh, but I'm not like enjoying my time, you know, and what she's doing to me. In my head. I look in the mirror. I look at her. Like there's just a lot going on. And I don't know if it's the same experience for all women who enjoy this as clients. Because him, it's like one track mind, you know, she starts going at him, and, you know, eventually he finishes and it's great. And then, you know, the girl turns to me and she's like, okay, it's your turn now. And I knew, I was like, oh God, I'm not going to orgasm. Like there's no way. Now the pressure's on. How much time do we have? Like 15 minutes. It's not going to happen. I'm on the clock. And, yeah, so, you know, she was trying and stuff, and I was getting into it. And then the other girl starts crying, and then Gab is, well, like my partner's on me, and they're all like looking at me and stuff. And at this point, because I have faked orgasms before during erotic massages, just to like kind of please the girl, like, oh, you did a great job. And to kind of end it, you know, because I can't just like, if I'm on the clock, there's no way it's going to happen, you know? So that was going on in my head. And then at some point I was like, you know what, just be honest. And I looked at her and I was like, you know what, you're so good. I'm enjoying so much of what you're doing right now, but I'm just like, I'm not going to be able to finish.
Yeah.
And she just laughs, and she was like, that's okay, you know, and very cool about it. She understood. And yeah, and then, you know, one of my favorite parts about getting these massages is kind of the after effect, because you kind of spend a few minutes like chatting together. Mm-hmm. Like we always, my partner's always very inquisitive, so he asks a lot of questions, and the girls are always just like so transparent and so nice, and, you know, just like learn a little bit what they do and the different clients they have, and and yeah, and it was really nice. And I'd say out of all the massages that we've had, the Nuru was probably the best.
Really
interesting.
It
I was going to
was,
ask you what your favorite experience was. So it is the Nuru.
um, it was, yeah. And actually, interestingly, after we chatted with them, she said, she gave us a tip, because I said, I always have trouble orgasming. Maybe next time, like, I should come by myself. Like, I've never gone for an erotic
Mm.
massage by myself with
Okay.
another woman. So, yeah, she also said that some couples like to just get one girl,
Mhm.
for more of like a threesome type experience. Cause she was like, if it was just the two of you, I would have like got you more involved and I would have like put you on top of him and had you like play with the gel a little bit and kind of slip on
Okay.
him. But we were four in the room. It made that a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Nuru was definitely our favorite. And I don't know if it's just because of the actual Nuru gel itself or just the experience of the actual establishment, because in terms of like the service, the price, the girls, the experience that they gave us, and also like their massage technique as well. It was just really nice, and my boyfriend
I love
loved it.
that.
I am never going back to like regular massages. I
Well,
mean,
you have
and
to
like
come
getting a
here
woman.
if you come to Toronto.
Oh yeah. Well, we're not that far. So now that we've connected, we'll definitely make a
We
trip
would
there.
love to have you guys in. You would love it.
Um,
Oh, no.
If I was a girl,
That's
I would
so
flush
funny.
my tampons down the toilet. I know I would. I know I would. I know I would see the sign and it would be like, don't flush anything but toilet paper. And I'd be like, tampons don't matter. And then I would hear other girls being like, don't flush your tampons. And I'd be like, yeah, guys, don't flush your tampons. And then I know I'd whip mine out and I'd flush it down the toilet. My name would be Veronica, but I'd go by Ronnie. I have like a really good group of girlfriends, and then I also would have like one really toxic gay friend named like Marcus, and then I would like go to him and hang out and be like, Marcus, I cheated on my boyfriend. And he'd be like, good, do it again. I'd be like, Marcus, you're crazy. I think as a girl I would have gone to college, but as a gay man I didn't. And I would drink tea instead of coffee. Crazy. I'm a crazy girl. Ooh, I'd always have like long extensions in, and then I'd go through a breakup and I'd like cut it really short and be like, I'm different. I love that. And then also I'd wear like little mini skirts with like no underwear on. And then let guys and all of their friends bang me. Is that bad? Wait, that's because I'm a man.
I mean, that's college.
You've got some feminine energy, though.
He seriously got a plan and thought this out.
Deux.
Ah.
Oui, alors, attendez, parce que je vais... Attendez, parce qu'il y a mon aide-soignant qui est pas... Est-ce que vous pouvez m'aider? Ouais,
voilà.
Parce que c'est de...
Je vais essayer.
Ouais. Non, ah non.
Visiblement, ça ne marche pas.
Attendez.
Pierre-Patrick, vous n'avez pas perdu la main.
You're craving something a little extra, aren't you? Subscribe to our Patreon and enjoy the ride. Definitely, definitely. Those same attention to details is really what sets us apart from the other parlors in Toronto as well. And that comes a lot from my experience and friends that Riley knew that were in the biz. There's shitty, shady ones here. There's fancy ones that still operate shady. There's all kinds in every plethora, like from your 1-star to your 5-star. But our couples' experiences are very similar. We have one option that's just the one girl, so that threesome vibe. We have one that's got 2 girls and the 2 clients and 2 massage tables. And we even have something called the MUSE Mixer, which is kind of like a relay race. So over the hour, every 20 minutes, a different girl comes in and they switch, like kind of like wrestling. They like tap out.
that's so fun.
And it's really like it's action packed. Obviously, it's a lot more intimate when like focused, kind of like you said, with just one girl. But I find our couples, especially when they're new to it, they always seem to start with like what they want. So if threesome experience is what they're looking for, that's what they want. If they're really voyeuristic, they want the 2 girls so they can watch each other. But after that, if they love it, they're like, well, let's try the other ones. And then they want to challenge themselves with the mixer. And I'm like, y'all better sleep the night before and eat your Wheaties in the morning, because it's sweaty, it's action packed, it's high energy, it's high octane the whole time. But I love that it mixes up the experience for the couple, even in something like you would think, how much variety is in an erotic massage? tons of
Right.
variety. Like you said, facility, the girls, their persona, their skill set, like all those different dynamics meshing with yours as a couple and each of you as individuals. It changes up the whole thing. Like you can
Mhm.
keep coming in and having these new experiences all the time. And I think it's so good for couples that are trying to like reclaim some intimacy if they've had a bit of a dip, or that like post young child rearing phase and they want to kind of get back into each other. COVID situation absolutely changed our couple's clientele completely. I found they got a lot younger and there's a lot more of them. People got curious and bored during lockdowns. And
Absolutely.
if they were stuck in a house miserable, they're probably divorced now. But if they were stuck in a house like together and were like, hey, stranger, how are you? Like, let's reconnect. The curiosity, people became very sexually curious. And I
Yeah.
feel like they stepped out, you know, to swingers clubs. They stepped out to kink experiences. They were like, let's take a workshop. Like all of a sudden, let's look at different porn. Like just suddenly people started branching out, and this boredom plus curiosity leads to innovation, right? And it was a fascinating shift from like the nerdy business side of me, and also like the sex obsessed side of me, the sex therapist side of me. I was like, this is the psychology behind this whole dynamic of the globe shifting this way, in contrast to the political shift to more conservative, is like, A, y'all are politically full of shit. Well, like I love that curiosity, especially in a relationship, in couples, and seeing it flourish at our
Mhm.
spa is just so fantastic. Getting those emails or hearing that feedback afterwards, the little things we throw in on Valentine's or for anniversaries and stuff. A little romance. We can throw in a couple roses for you. It doesn't just have to be dirty, but it can be like, you know, romantical at the beginning and then really dirty at the end. It can be any plethora you want. And it really helps couples kind of build a stronger connection because it is such a unique experience. So I love that y'all have taken that even on your world travels, because I do the same thing when I'm in a new city or a new island or a new country. I'm like,
Nice.
where are the strip clubs? Where are the rub and tugs? Can I see a menu? Like, I need a tour. I want to
Oh
go
my
scoop on
God.
everything because I can't do that here. Everybody knows me and they're like, get out of the club.
Oh,
So
can I come to Toronto
fascinating.
and you both take me out to all the places? I love that.
It's so interesting. And each place has its own culture behind it, right? So, like, what's popular here? What's taboo here? What do the police think of what's going on? Like, I want to know all the things. Who owns this place? Like, let me get in and get the nitty gritty. And it's so interesting when you're traveling because it's not just a review on like Yelp. You can actually like
Right.
physically go in and touch the place and see the place, and like it's tangible, and it's super exciting to see more couples taking that plunge. So I commend both of you for like, we want to try it, we're going to try it, we're going to try it at least twice and figure out what we like, because the first time's always nerve-wracking. Always try everything twice. But you can really find really cool experiences that you love together, and then you can make that your mission. Let's find more Nuru around the world, or let's every
Yep.
time we're in Montreal, like, and it becomes ritual. It becomes part of your intimacy. And to me, that's ideal in a relationship. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but for me, that's the perfect cup of tea, because I think human sexuality should always remain curious. And so even if you hate it, you learn some shit. It's awesome. I'm so impressed.
I feel so grateful to be on this call right now. I'm just like, you're my people. It's,
We're your new sex besties. I love it.
I mean, the majority of my audience is men. It's about 90% men. But I'd say the majority of those are also in couples, and a
Yep.
lot of them write to me, and and they're either, their wife like doesn't want to have sex anymore, or they're trying to find like interesting things to pitch to their wives to like just try and like switch things up a little bit and so on. And
Yeah.
so yeah, you're right. Like people are curious, but they're still very fearful, so I know that they appreciate like me coming online and just like talking about these things in a very casual way. Like, yeah, we went to a massage parlor, it was super fun, like the girls are really nice and so on. And yeah, it's so important. Like, I'm grateful that my partner is so open to this, and I'm sure he's grateful that I am as well.
Yes, you're
but the
the
more
prize.
that we get, yeah, but the more that we do get into it, the more that we travel too, I am trying to be a little bit more cautious, I guess, about like how I consume these things, you know, and making sure that like the places that we go to are, you know, are legal, and like, although in some parts of the world, you know,
Ethical. Yeah.
hard to, like, it's very gray zones, you know, but the last the last two places we went to was Nuru and this other just regular massage parlor. And in Canada, I mean, you guys know more about the legalities and so on of it. It's very gray, right? Like you can sell sex, but you can't buy sex. And it's, so I'm never sure with the parlors, like, is it legal or is it not? But,
Right.
you know, the last places we went to, they have certificates and such. Like, it is legal because there's no sex involved. Like, sex to, I guess, the government involves penetration or oral, but anything with the hands is kind of okay. Like,
It's weird. It's such a weird, dark kind of gray
Right.
area. And yet, like we've been around, and we're quite involved with the whole change of the prostitution laws back in 2014 in Canada. And it was hella confusing because strip clubs are licensed not just for strip clubs, but liquor licenses too, right? And like nightlife, club life. In Edmonton, they have licensed brothels, like European style brothels. Toronto and many other places, we are licensed body rub parlors, so we're allowed to provide erotic services. It is known. Really, once you're in the room, it's up to the girl to decide if she wants to provide full service or not. We choose not to offer full service at the spa, so Muse is known not to be a full service place. It's not to say it's never happened, but in general, that's kind of not our pitch, not our angle of it. So I remember all of us being confused when all of that changed over to like, what are the new legalities? Can a brothel exist in a place where brothels aren't legal? Like, how do we juxtaposition this? And it took years for everyone to kind of figure out how to navigate it. That's why they use the funny jargon when you call. It's why in different areas, in different cities, they'll use different terminology. And some things get lost in translation. Some things you can Google to find the right wording. And it makes it a little confusing for a consumer to figure out, like, am I in the right place? Because even just because it's licensed doesn't mean it's ethically operated. That comes down to ownership, to management, to, you know, discipline of the rules and all kinds of different things. It really is up to the business owners and how strictly they stick to a format of legalities. And on top of federal laws, we still have local bylaws that we have to follow too. So therein comes some of the weird wording and things like that too. And it's strange. We often get inquiries from clients that are like, are they like, am I going to get an STD and am I going to get arrested? And that's the main question when someone's brand new. And it sounds extreme, but look what the movies and like the media and the news put into play in terms of what we see. No wonder they think, you know, a license check is a sting. And like, it just goes, there's no helicopters, there's no choppers outside. The news is not going to catch you. It's just a routine like license check. Don't worry about it. They're not cops. Don't even worry. Listen, we have cops that are clients. Let's be serious, right? There's some heavy politicians that come to Muse. Like, it is what it is, and everyone finds their way to play. But I can totally imagine from a consumer's perspective, especially if you're in a city you're unfamiliar with, to been like, the website looked legit, the place looks nice inside, but how do you know? Are these people here by choice? Is there sex trafficking behind here? Is everybody sober? Like, there's a lot of gray, even in places that are open and legal. There's still gray stuff to kind of look at, to monitor, even in places like Australia, Nevada, parts of Europe, Berlin. Like, it really depends, I think, down to ownership on how something is operated and who's really running the behind the scenes. And that's part of why we decided to open a parlor. Is all of them are male owned. Some of them are female operated in Toronto. But we were like, what would women do if women owned a strip club? Like, how would that be different? And most people go, oh, and I'm like, that's what we did with massage. We haven't, as far as now, nor do I think I ever want to, ventured into owning a strip club. But I guarantee you, if we did, it would be hella different. There'd be a lot less lasers. There'd be a lot less gimmicks and a lot more intimacy. But in general, it's just that different take on it and that different kind of approach. We run it like a real business. It's not just a cash cow operation. And we really give a shit about our staff. I know personally firsthand what they go through in those rooms and what a bad client looks like compared to a good client. And I hope all of those pieces come into play when someone is researching where they want to go, especially their very first time, because that's hella nerve-wracking. I can't even imagine, like, when you go for your first solo erotic massage, which now I'm going to hold you to. You have to try it.
Well, so
You
I'm
can
going
voice
to
note your
Japan.
boyfriend the whole time, be like, "This is what's happening, but I'm here, honey."
Yeah, we're gonna go together, but just be in separate rooms, you know. But on
There you
Sunday, I'm
go.
going to Japan,
Perfect.
which is the mecca of Nuru. So
Yes.
we'll be
Yes.
getting one there. I'll
The
definitely,
mothership.
yeah. But I
Japan
can
is a
tell you,
very interesting sex trade world too, because it's one of the only countries in the whole world where women are equally consumers of sex work. And they have brothels that are exclusively gigolo based, where females are the clients. It's very high end executive style. And it's the only place in the world where women literally pay these men this much money for their time, attention, and company and services. Nowhere else in the world does that fly. And I have always been fascinated by that aspect of Japan, because what's missing either with the rest of us, or what's the catch in Japan that makes women suddenly want to open? Well, technically, you're opening your wallet for something you could earn for, right? And that's kind of the conflict is, do I want to pay, a Chippendale, or do I want to be the dancer? Like, if we both end up dancing, what's the difference? If I hire a male escort, well, I'm fucking him. Why am I not getting paid? And in most places, it's the girl that gets paid, right? So the fact that they've kind of role reversed that and marketed, and kind of, it's very established, it's very profitable, and it's very in demand, I think is super fascinating. But all of Japanese culture has a little bit of kink kind of woven through it, and a lot of sexuality. And I just love it. I think it's awesome. So I'm totally going to ask you a million questions when you're back, because I'm going to be like, did you see this place? Did you see that place? I have to
I've
know.
already got like a sex tour lined up, and I'm meeting with a sex toy wellness company while I'm there. So I'm planning some, but I can tell you, ladies, about our first happy ending experience, which was kind of fun because I got to participate a little bit in it. And this place was a like extra, like you can get extras kind of place.
Right.
We didn't end up though, because we're both kind of still awkward and terrible, like negotiating those things. We're like, oh, just do like the basic,
Right.
But what was cool about it was at some point while he was on the table, and I was sitting at the edge, like kind of rubbing his chest while she was on top of him. Like I asked her if I could participate, and she was like, yeah, of course. So I got on the table with her, and, super into it, and, was rubbing him and so on. And there's 2 mirrors on each side. And I remember looking at myself in the mirror and being like, damn girl, like you look good. And I was like so turned on by myself that, like, what the situation was. And I was, thinking to myself, like, I could do this, and like, I was just, I guess, in that moment trying to put my head in, what the like the sex worker's head was, and how maybe they work if they kind of like tune out, the clients and kind of focus on themselves. Like I wasn't really sure, and it kind of tied into the neuro massage experience, because I'm very awkward with eye contact. Like I don't like, even with my partner, I don't like looking at him during sex. And I was looking in the mirror, and she was looking, and I was looking at what she was doing and where she was looking, and I could tell sometimes she was like looking at herself. And at the end, I asked her, it's like, like when you look at yourself in the mirror, are you like kind of putting yourself in the zone of getting turned on by yourself and everything like that? And because I remember when I did it, I was very impressed. I felt so good. I was like, oh, you look hot, you look good. And and then she said yes. She was like, it's a little bit of that, but it's also like she's always trying to make sure she looks good, and like her foot isn't weird, or like, she's trying to see where the client's looking, and if she sees that he's looking more, or like the client's looking more at her ass, she'll like kind of like, put her ass out a little bit more, and this and that. And like the way she was explaining, I was like, damn, that's a lot of fucking work. Like,
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's such a wild ride that you guys have been on. But what is next for you guys? What's on the bucket list of experiences for you and your partner?
So, well, while we're in Japan, obviously I want to try some stuff while I'm there. One fun thing is we're gonna, because in Japan you could rent a boyfriend or a girlfriend for a day. This is
Right.
just fun. It's not like and it's not sexual either. It's not like you're hiring someone to have sex with. It's more like to have like fun boyfriend or girlfriend experiences, like walking down the street holding hands and going to the restaurant and
Right.
like feeding each other and things like that. So that's more fun. But I guess in a more like intimate, serious sense, is we kind of started dabbling a little bit in like shibari, tying up. You were mentioning before, Emily, curiosity and like trying things and such like that. And there was a studio in Montreal called Tension Montréal. So they specialize in like shibari and so on. And every week they offer intro classes. So, as for content and also this is what's fun about what I do now. Cause it's like, oh, there's a super cool thing. Like, let's try it together and, have fun with it. If we like it, great. If not, it's like, whatever, something like a good conversation, to have later on. And I really like the idea of being tied up. And I find it really beautiful to watch somebody be tied up as well. So, since we're going to be going to Japan and spending some time there, I definitely want to check out some of these like shibari events, not even necessarily for me to be tied up, but I just want to watch like other, like be a boy and watch other people do it. Cause I find it quite beautiful.
It is. It's the intermixing of sex and art. It's stunning.
Yeah. And the other thing is to try a massage on my own. So that's on my list. But I don't know if I'll get that done in Japan. I don't know if I know that they can be resistant to foreigners, and like refuse service. And I also don't know what their mentality is towards like servicing women. I'm not sure about it. I haven't read up on it too much yet. I'm leaving in a couple days, but I'm not sure how that is. So I know in Thailand it's a bit it's not as popular, it's not as common, I guess. I remember walking down the street with a woman and like we were getting eyed a little bit like, oh, like that's different thing, so
right. Super fascinating.
Yeah.
What a life. I love this. This is so exciting. Sounds like a great relationship and a mix with career. That's amazing.
I had a question for you, actually.
Sure.
As coming from a client consumer, if there's like things that you would recommend to look out for, I guess, like if we're looking for a place and, I'm online and I'm looking, like if there's any kind of red flags or anything that would be like, yeah, this place is probably like not legit kind of thing.
I would suggest, first of all, looking up reviews. Now, reviews can also be biased, right? There can be, we deal with it all the time. There could be haters and competitors that write fake reviews. I know like restaurants deal with the same kind of thing on Yelp and TripAdvisor and stuff, but more often it's more about like seeing patterns. So if there's a repeated pattern of people mentioning high quality service and proper customer service in terms of the business, whether it's an escort agency, a nightclub, I think that kind of professionalism makes a difference. I think a website can be really deceiving. I would say check out their social media. You can really tell if a tweet is just copy and paste or if it's a real person. I would say that if a place has their workers online and they're actively interacting with customers, it's less likely it's a bot or a manager. If it's always just like copy paste a schedule, come see me, that makes me a little, not a red flag, maybe a yellow flag, because is there like a front or are they being overly managed? I would say when you're in person, I'd be really uncomfortable if I felt like a worker didn't have a voice. So, for example, when you walk into our parlor Muse, and you're just a walk-in, you don't have an appointment, you can meet all the ladies that are available. And so they'll come one at a time to talk to you. No one's overseeing or monitoring what they're saying. No one's speaking for them. No one's just letting you look through a glass that you can't like talk to them or anything like that. Even more so with couples, we usually send the girl, even if they've pre-booked an appointment, we send the girl in to have at least a 5-minute chat with them before anybody showers, before anyone does anything, just to make sure everybody's comfortable. I think if they weren't allowed to speak, or if they're being like censored or kind of silenced in any way, that would make me pretty uncomfortable too. What do you think, Riley? That's a great question.
I agree. I mean, I don't know because I've never, been a consumer nor in a different country. I definitely would start with Google, and I think just walking in somewhere. And I mean, I know walls can be deceiving, or especially in Toronto, they can be. But I think walking in and just getting a vibe, and like you said, kind of reading the girls would be a good indicator.
Yeah, cleanliness, sobriety, certain things like that would definitely affect. Read up on the laws wherever you're going to, because there'll probably be not just the do's and don'ts, but there might be like comment sections with some advice. Don't ask for this openly. Don't do this. Don't do that. Because you don't want to get yourself mixed up in something that you just were none the wiser. Yeah, I would be kind of cautious about those kind of things. Take a look at your surroundings when you're in the rooms too. Having security cameras in the facility is one thing. In a private room is a big no-no. And I would assume that's a universal law. I don't think anyone can, film anybody's intimate encounters. And chatting with the girls. I honestly think the girls will, if they feel uncomfortable to tell you, how long you've been working here, how did you get into this? Do you like your job? A scripted response is very different from kind of how you explained afterwards, that you enjoy that chit chat afterwards. They're just open and they're natural about it. They're there on their own free will. They're enjoying their job. If they're not, you wouldn't, I'm trying to it's hard to put yourself in like angry pimp mind, but I then wouldn't want my workers to be too chit chatty. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't want them just singing to the choir, whether you're a foreigner or not. You'd want them kind of in work mode all the time, and therefore sticking to the script. So yeah, I would look for that, almost that casualness, even though I also said look for professionalism. I think it's about a balance, because you can be as professional as you want, but sex work is such a personal and intimate thing, that anytime the worker's voice is taken away, that would really be alarming to me. And maybe that means starting with the phone call and seeing how chatty the receptionist is. Start there and kind of work your way through. Google the laws before you go in. Yeah. That would be my best surface level red flags anyway.
Right.
You can always message us.
Yeah.
We can help you research. If you're like, I'm looking at this place and this place, I can do a little search on our end too, because we have access to review boards and websites that most people wouldn't know about. So I can do a little background search for you too. No problem.
Can't wait to hear about these travels and all your adventures.
Yeah, we're going to need a follow-up episode.
I would love to keep in touch. And again, I'm so thankful and grateful for what you ladies do. And I'm very what's the English word? I'm thinking in French, reconnaissance. Grateful for, the service that you provide, because I think it's so undervalued, from the majority of people who aren't consumers of you already, and really don't understand the value that you provide for people exploring their intimacy and within themselves, within their couple. It's I find it's such important work. And so I just want to stress that a lot. And I'm really grateful to be on this call with you ladies and just stress.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's fulfilling. It's stressful work, but it's fulfilling work. I love hearing the success stories, whether it's client or worker. I love hearing what they've gotten out of the experience and what they take with them forward. I think it's empowering, it's confidence boosting. It could be financially boosting, it could be all kinds of things, right? But it's the juxtaposition and the taboo contrast of that something sexual can help you mentally, or that something sexual can help you physically. It can inspire change. It can correct problems. It can do so many different things that people all too often ignore the sex piece of the human experience. They want top fitness, top nutrition, top mental health, top all these other things. And I'm like, you're missing a pretty big wedge of that pie. It's one thing if you're completely functional, except that one chunk. And therein can often lie problems, right? You can be the most successful guy in the world, but if you have problems with intimacy or fear of commitment and those kind of things, it's going to keep tripping you up until you focus on it. So we need more sex educators and people like you looking to make change too. And on that note, I'm so grateful for you coming on the show today. This was a beautiful chat. It was so like wholesome and saucy at the same time.
I'm sure it could get saucier too.
Yeah. Our follow-up will definitely have to go on our Patreon because I'm sure there will be some details that we cannot put on YouTube.
Yes,
absolutely.
And again, your invite to Muse when you are back in Canada.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for meeting me today. And I really look forward to just keeping in touch and hopefully collaborating in the future and sharing more spicy stories.
Before we let you go, let everyone know where they can find you online.
Yes, absolutely. So you can find me on my main channel on YouTube, which is Ali Imperiale. That is my main hub. And in all my YouTube videos, you can check out in the description of the videos where you can further support me if you'd like. I also have a Patreon. And you can join me there on my intimate hub where I share a lot more like bonus content, community engagement, and just like chill with you guys. So yeah, thank you so much. And hopefully one day I can invite you ladies also on my platform, on my Patreon, because I'm sure that, you get a lot of questions, from the consumer end on how to navigate this world for as a personal consumer or as a couple as well. So it would probably really encourage a lot of my audience to really go for that extra push to get their partner to to try something like this together.
I love it. Thank you so much, Ali. This was wonderful.
Thank you. Have a great day, ladies.
You too. We'll see you next time. Safe travels.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
That was so much fun. I'm like so envious of the life she lives and the balls to be honest about it and come and talk about it on the pod with us.
These are my relationship goals. If my Christian Grey is listening, own a hotel, take me around the world for sex tourism, ethical sex tourism, and let's experiment with everything at least twice because that's my dream life. As long as he's wealthy and he's going to cover my bills, I'm good. Let's try everything.
Yes. I'm glad we made that friendship with her because she's really interesting and really unique.
I absolutely agree. I hope everyone listening found that interesting because the unique perspective of hearing from a client, not just a client, but a couple's client, and not just a couple's client, but a woman client, is like, she's like a unicorn. She's like this rare creature in the world that there's only like 4 of left in the world. And you got to find that little Pokemon because her boyfriend scored, first of all. And it sounds like she scored pretty good too. He sounds like quite the open-minded catch. So when you find that kind of chemistry and then turn it into a career and then that curiosity turn into education, I mean, again, that to me is like life goals and kind of how I like to navigate my life too. I like to learn constantly. I love to try things at least twice. I anticipate the fuck up the first few times because it's going to be bumpy. You're going to learn the hard way. And with sex stuff, the hard way can mean a little pain the next day. So why not? I love the sound of her adventures. It was really cool. That was awesome. We need to take a road trip to Montreal. We've been on a few business trips already with the pod. I think Muse on the Mic needs to go to Montreal.
And get some Nuru.
Get some Nuru, study some things, tour some spas, bring the people with us, do a little live cam session. I think it'd be super fun.
Yes, and have lunch with Ali.
Yes. Let's put that on the to-do list for the rest of 2025. I love it. Well, guys, I hope you loved this chat as much as we did. I found it super endearing. Again, a little wholesome and a little saucy, and that's the perfect little balance. And I would say definitely stay tuned because when she's back in a couple months, we are doing a follow-up. We are doing it on Patreon, and I want all the details that she hesitated to tell this time. I want to hear about the massaging of the lips. Let's get to it.
Yeah. I agree.
So good. So good. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We will tag her and all her channels in the description below. Make sure you give her a follow as well, as long as you followed ours first, selfishly. But join us next time. We'll see you next week on Muse on the Mic. Bye, guys.
Bye.